Hi guys, I'm glad you are here. My visual inspiration for this painting comes from my many visits to the Metropolitan Museum of Art located in New York. It's hard to believe that it was the artist's first attempt to carve out a full female figure. Titled The Indian Girl, the marble girl holds a cross in her hand, which really looks like a phone from the distance. I also love the Venetian patterns, and I enjoy incorporating various patterns into my artwork. I begin my creative process drawing out the most important elements in the image that I want to paint. I found that the photograph that I took at the museum was quite blurry, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to paint the face. Therefore, I decided to draw the face first and see if I would be able to translate that into my painting. After that, I worked on an outline on a separate sketch paper, and then I transferred that outline onto my panel. Here you see the tinted panel. I don't like painting on white because it's first of all it's a cool color, and I find that when I work on a warm surface, the colors react to that surface, and I actually get an illusion of light because of that. Normally I complete an underpainting in just one color, but I've decided to try to paint in full color from the beginning, and this is what you see me doing. I started working on the background first and filled it in, and after that I decided to work on the figure itself section by section. Here you see a time lapse of me painting the first layer of fabric. I focus on the shadows first and complete the shadows, and then I begin working on transitions between the darks and the lights. For that I mixed three colors, which is white, black, and a little bit of warm brown. I also like to rotate my panel or canvas whenever I need to make a different kind of a stroke, so my strokes don't go in one direction, but actually they follow the shape of the object to describe it. As I paint from dark to light, now you see me beginning to fill in the lights. I constantly analyze where I have my lightest lights and my darkest darks, and try to match those values on my palette. So here you see the first layer is almost finished, and I have a little bit of work left on the arms. Now you see me filling in the face the same way I worked on the fabric. I mixed the same 3 colors, and I begin working from the darkest darks, and then I just try to find values in between. In my later layers, I would be adding a little bit of pink and green into this basic mix to unify the color more, so the figure doesn't look separate from the background. And you'll see me do this in my next steps. Once I fill in the entire face, it actually takes several hours to do so. The paint begins to set in, and I blend it just a little bit so the edge wouldn't be as hard. And that's very easy to do. You just wipe off your brush and brush over the area you want to soften with that brush. In this section, you see me beginning working on some details. I've actually layered a couple of layers already, and I'm developing the details. I'm working with a very small brush that still feels kinda big for this artwork. I think it's 000. In this part of the video, you can see how I develop the details in the jewelry piece. I've decided to keep the video in the original state. I didn't speed it up for the purpose of showing you how slow and meticulous the actual process is. I don't slap paint on canvas, and I'm trying to be as careful as possible. I find that it's very difficult to paint teeny tiny details with brushes, because it's not the same as doing this work in pencil. You can sharpen your pencil and it can hold its shape when you make a line. It's difficult to control the brush and make it do the exact stroke you want to do. That's why it's very important to have good quality brushes so the point stays nice and firm, and you can make these teeny tiny adjustments as you go. Also, when you paint details, you need to have just the right amount of paint on the tip of your brush. If you have too much paint, you make a mess, and if it's not enough paint, you can't really paint anything. It looks very easy, but actually it took me a very long time to learn this skill. And I still find myself in the process of learning every single day. I let each layer dry before starting working on the painting again, and you must make sure that your previous layer is very dry before you start the technique of glazing. And you can apply multiple glazes, it doesn't have to be just one. Each glaze is basically a mix of transparent paint with lots of linseed oil, and then you need to have a paper towel, a specific paper towel that doesn't leave any residue, and basically blend this color over the entire surface so it stays nice and flat. You don't really need to apply glazes everywhere or all over the place, or you could apply several glazes in one space. It just depends on the idea that you have in mind. For instance, I applied 2 glazes over the fabric, and I think I've applied 3 glazes over the background. This process has a unifying effect. Each area becomes more consistent and fits into the narrative of the entire painting. In this section you see me using a little bit of Scumbling. Again, the previous layer must be dry completely. To do that, I'm using a very soft brush. I took a little bit of paint without any oil and I brushed over the surface just to clean it up or make it more even. I'm also using a paper towel, but a lot of times it's basically touching up the area with a very light paint and brushing it over the area you want to be lighter. And again, it has a unifying effect and it lightens up the entire surface where you use the scumbling technique. And again, I can go back and forth with it. I can use some scumbling, then let it dry and come back to it in a couple of days and do the same thing if I see it needs to be even lighter. Or I would go back to glazing and glaze some more color to deepen the hue. Oil painting is my sacred space to express feelings and ideas on canvas. Social media is an incredibly important tool for artists to show artwork, to exchange ideas, to find clients, and to feel inspired. It became totally possible to meet fun and talented people living on the other side of the globe. However, social media is a vast place where we connect with others to disconnect from the world around us. It's a demand for attention, a cry for help, a space for narcissism and trolling, and also a platform to chat with friends. It's the place that's open to everyone for freedom of expression that also encourages loneliness and social anxiety in many. It's a point of connection where we find ideas and inspiration, as well as an idealization of reality. We want to feel connected with people on our own terms, creating and participating in the illusions of the virtual world. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon.